everyone is waiting. Well, I can just start with my introduction, and then I'll hand it over to you, and then hopefully we have two more people joining us.
Great.
Um, well, I have attended a few virtual conferences lately, but I've never been in charge of buttons, so this is a little different. My name is Kat Pizzella, and I have the pleasure of moderating this panel today. I have been around the chamber for the past 5 years. I worked at Heartland Payment Systems, specializing in credit card processing. Heartland has a large footprint in the restaurant and hospitality industry, which is part of why I'm a part of this panel. And we also have a payroll and HR division and is the preferred provider by the National Restaurant Association for both credit card and payroll. COVID-19 definitely put a wrench in my everyday routine and life. I feel vested in my business's success. And oh, we have one more. Karl, can you hear us?
I can.
Excellent. So I wanted to help businesses in any way that I could, but at the same time, I felt really helpless. I spent a lot of time assisting with PPP loans, which I believe we all might have the same feeling about. That was literally the wild, wild west for a while. Um, but getting back to business, Heartlands ran various promotions, virtual gift cards, online ordering, discounted payroll, etc. And I'm eager to get everyone back on their feet. And I hope today's breakout was worth them listening and participating. So I will let my fellow panelists introduce themselves. Carl, you just joined us, but why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Say it again. Sorry,
Go
I've got to
ahead
get the
and
volume
introduce
right.
yourself. It's okay. Go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone listening.
Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm Karl Makinen, one of the owners of local Peasant. We have two locations in the Valley, one in Sherman Oaks and one in Woodland Hills. We opened the first one 10 years ago, 2010, right after the 2008 crash when it was kind of crazy times. Not exactly as crazy as these times, but it was a rough time for a lot of people. And we really gravitated towards the community. We've made a name for ourselves, the local peasant. A lot of people know who we are. And the second location was 3 years later. So Sherman Oaks, 10 years, Woodland Hills is 7 years. And we've been going strong in the Valley, and business has been really challenging, as I'm sure Christy and myself will talk to that as we go on with this panel, because the restaurant business is a struggle and has been even before this to try to make money. But that's who I am, and we'll continue the conversation from there.
Excellent. Christy, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name's Christy Vega, and I'm the owner of Casa Vega restaurant in Sherman Oaks on the Boulevard. And it's been in my family for 64 years. My father started it, and I'm the second generation owner of it. And before that, my grandparents had a restaurant on Vera Street for over 20 years. So we've been LA restaurateurs for 3 generations. And we love it, and we love the Valley, and we love Los Angeles, and we love the restaurant business, as crazy as it is. And it's, Casa Vega has been wildly successful, and it's a pleasure to kind of steer this restaurant into the next generation. And through this pandemic, which has been beyond crazy and anything like we've never seen in the history of operating any of our restaurants. So I'm excited to be here with you guys and talk to you about it.
Excellent. I just want to remind everyone that there is a chat box on the right side of the screen. Feel free to ask questions, and then hopefully we'll get to all of them before the hour is over. But I'll kick us off. As you both mentioned, we're facing some incredible challenges in the restaurant industry. What has been your experience getting employees back to work? Are they fearful? Are they content with unemployment? What's been your take? Carl, you can go ahead and
start. Well, I think Christy's dealing the same thing that we are, and I think a lot of people are. I think that it is a little scary to come back to work just in general, right? Because people have been home. They've been home isolated, and watching the news, and the fear of the news and the death and the virus, which are not necessarily not true. But I've been out in the world. I kept one of the restaurants open and turned it into a market, and I was just selling like apples and bottles of liquor and slushies and whatever I had to sell just to make enough money to keep my six employees, key employees, because I had to lay off 80 of them. So that's definitely an excuse that's real. But also on top of that, the federal government gave everybody $600 tax free on top of their unemployment, right? So basically that's if you think about it, it's like $70,000 a year or somewhere around there. I mean, most of my employees who were working the hourly, who were transient people anyway, weren't making that much. So they're sitting home making more money than they've made working. I asked them to come back to work, and well, there's the challenge, right? Some people, very few people were what we're saying, they were antsy and they just wanted to get back to work. But a lot of people settled into that comfortable $1,050. And then some people have issues, their wife's pregnant, they're afraid of getting their grandfather or father sick. So it's really challenging. And the people that did come back to me, I always tell them and I thank them. I'm like, you guys, you're my soldiers, and I thank you so much. And I'm going to look out for you, because there's not going to be a lot of jobs available coming in the next year or maybe longer. And I said, because you came back and you're with me and we're doing the right thing to try to take care of everybody, I'm going to look out for you and make sure you have a job here. So I really had to let them know that if they didn't come back to me, that they were not necessarily getting their job back. And so the people who really enjoyed working at the restaurant, and wanted to get their job back, they're back with me, but still it's challenging.
Oh, absolutely. And eventually the unemployment will run out. So it's like such a crazy balance, right? But people are also stuck at home with kids home from school.
That too.
It's so crazy. Christy, what's your take on that?
I had the identical experience as Karl. Getting people back with the $600 extra for unemployment was just really tricky, because even if they weren't making fully what they made here, some of our top waiters make a tremendous amount of money. It was still a lot less work, and they could stay home and collect just about the same pay. And so to get everybody to kind of come back, we have a pretty loyal crew that we're like a big family here, that a lot of our employees have been here for over 25, 30 years. All of them came back, but it was kind of the people that are in and out, and we do have a certain that just getting them back wasn't going to happen. First on, some people just told me I make more money than I would coming back, because we were doing a drive-through model when we first opened. We weren't open for dine-in, so there's no real. There were some tips, but it doesn't compare to dine-in service. So they thought, well, we'll be back when the table's open. We'll be back when the bar opens. We'll be back when this opens. What's my job going to be? I'm not going to be a bartender. What am I going to be? I'm going to have to serve people in the drive-through. I'll just stay home. So that was a bit disappointing. And again, we just said, it's an at-will state. Can't guarantee it's going to be here, when you decide to come back, but it's definitely been a challenge. Now I have pretty much about everybody. There's been a couple casualties that aren't going to come back for their fear of the virus, which is totally understandable. So we're actually hiring.
It's one of the dichotomy really is so the feds gave that $600 to keep people home. That was the idea of giving that money. They wanted to make sure that people made enough money to stay home. But then when we got our PPP loans, we were required to make the forgiveness is to spend 75% of that money on labor and bringing people back. It's such a crazy challenge, and they gave them enough money to be comfortable to stay home. And now we're telling them, hey, you got to come back to work. It was a challenge that they created, and I understand it to some extent. And then it was really challenging when they told us we had to spend it within the 8 weeks, and then I started spending my money and having people back to work when they would work 6 hours and I would give them 12 hours. I was overpaying everybody, and then after 6 weeks they extended it, and I'm like, great. Now that really screwed me, because I could have used that money to carry me through these tough times. Instead, I was spending it early to try to get the forgiveness. That was not fun.
I did the same exact thing, and we could use a little bit of it for the future weeks, because
Yeah.
we raced so hard to meet that, so it would be forgivable. Almost like a game of like a payroll Brewster's Millions, of just trying to get everybody back on and get them, whether it was they were folding kids menus at home that we're not even using, whatever I could do to just employ people, and then find out, oh, we have more time. Like, geez, I wish they would have let us know. And I think that's been, the restaurant business is so hard to navigate anyways, and it just gets hit left and right from every regulation, every government entity, everybody smacks us around. And then to have kind of the feds not really have a clear game plan for this PPP, which was great. We all kind of survived on it, but geez, like, we could use more. Sure.
Yeah.
I don't think they even knew. I think they kept changing the rules. When they launched PPP loans, after 2 days, they changed the application and people had to start over. It was just so crazy.
So crazy.
Yeah, but when they make these laws and these policies, they don't really take into consideration the restaurant business. I think they think that most businesses make 40% profit margin, and that's just not possible for restaurants. I was saying to somebody the other day, the restaurant business was always challenging in the beginning. The profit margin was very low, but then in the last 3 years, we got hit with minimum wage keep going up, 6-day paid sick leave, and then health insurance. Like that, all that stuff it just took your profit even lower. Like you're down to like, the profit margin is so slim, and you're just trying to find ways to survive. And luckily that, Christy, Casa Vega, and myself, we're busy enough where you do make some money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel bad when I drive by these restaurants and I see these restaurants opening, and I know what it takes, and the rents that are ridiculous. Luckily, our rents are pretty good in both locations, but just in general, the Valley and Ventura Boulevard rents are ridiculous. I don't know how restaurants can survive. I don't know what kind of margins they're making. And it really needs to change. Something needs to change, because restaurants aren't going away. You can get a lot of virtual. You can buy anything online, but you can't buy an experience. And people love coming to restaurants, and entertainment in general. So, but those have been challenging. And now this on top of that is just really going to hurt the Valley and hurt restaurants, and make it even challenging for successful restaurants, because you're 50% and your profit margin's so low right now.
Yeah, just to kind of, comment on what Karl was saying, 100%. I always say a restaurant is like a massive, big running ship that runs on cents. Like, really, it's fumes, and but it can run, and it's wildly expensive, and you get it going. But the only way it runs and the only way it's profitable is if every table's packed and every table's full and it's running full throttle. Then it's a pretty profitable, stable little business. But once something dips, like whether it's payroll or sales dip a little bit or something, the ship turns super quick.
Yeah.
And you have to.
It's such a cash. It's such a cash now business. Like,
yes,
it's like if your business stops, your labor and what you owe are all coming at you right behind you. So it's a tricky business, and it's a great one. I love it. I mean, and I know we're going to talk about it, but when we get to it. But the other portion of it is like, I love hospitality, and my servers who are great, and everybody who works with me, those people who have it inside of them, they love hospitality. But now we get into like policing people as well with the masks and everything, and that's also a challenge too. But I know you were going to ask about that, Kim.
Yeah, but we can maybe take that right now. How has it been opening back up, and people, are they wearing the mask? Are you getting some resistance? How's that been?
We haven't had any issues with the masks. We have, somebody at the front door that blocks everybody, and we have available, I think we've handed out a couple just to people who've forgotten theirs. The bigger issue is when they walk around the restaurant, they get up and they go to the bathroom. Then I've got, employees trying to tell them and people yelling at them that they can't tell them what to do. And so it's kind of just getting the staff to, every time someone's sat, to remind people that when they get up, they have to put their mask back on. And we kind of take a pretty stern policy. If you're not going to follow it, then you just can't be here, because I'm not going to risk the business that I have now for somebody who doesn't want to wear a mask. I had more issues with that in the drive-through of, a man yelling at me, and I was saying, you have to wear a mask. Even when you're here, you have to wear a mask. We have our employees, it's masks. And he just, took off, he had a mask, and then he had it like under here, and he took it off all the way, and just to yell at me that I didn't have any right to tell him what to do. Or if I was saying, please don't drink your alcohol on our property, there's still open container laws, people just yelling at us like, ma'am, can I drink water on your property? Can I drink soda on your property? And somebody threw a glass of water at me. I was like, we're just trying to protect our liquor license at the end of the day. And that's all businesses are trying to do, whether it's masks or open container or whatever it is. We just want to make sure that when we can get back, we're back, and that everything, OSHA hasn't shut us down, or the health department hasn't come in, or the ABC. And so I find that, I think people are so on edge. They feel so controlled and so frustrated in their life. And then, it normally happens at a restaurant. People have a bad day and they kind of take it out on us, but now it's like amplified. So, pretty good so far with the outdoor dining. We do have, they want one flow of traffic. So we try and bring people, through the restaurant into the outdoor space. And I have people like, I refuse to even walk inside. I'm like, well, but then you cross the other people that are waiting, and we're trying to get one flow. And they're just like, I'm not going inside, even though all the doors are open. You're like, okay. Like, I don't know like what to do at some point. Like, it's just, you kind of pick and choose your battles.
Yeah, I think like when somebody tells me they refuse to wear a mask and, I have freedoms, you can't tell me what to do. I want to say to them, like, so did you drive here? Okay. Did you stop at red lights? Okay. So this is the same thing as stopping at a red light. These are things that protect you, or else just go through every red light and take your chances with yourself and somebody else hitting you. It's like, but it's like, that's what I'm saying about like, it's the challenge of hospitality. You're always giving. You want to say yes to everybody, right? You don't want to use the word no. I would always say to nip. I would use an acronym like NIP, and turn a negative into a positive. So if two people want to sit at a table for 6, I'm like, don't say no. Try to find another way to say it, to ask them to go to another table. Don't use the word no. But here we are, policing people and telling them you have to do this. So it's just against our nature if you have hospitality inside of you.
Oh, absolutely. And that people have been cooped up for so long inside, and the unknown of what's going to happen and what this really is. And it's just, everyone's on edge, right? And aggressive. So speaking of this experience of going out for dinner, I've definitely missed that. I'm sick of cooking. So are you seeing your regulars coming back, or are they taking to-go orders?
We have a blend. We definitely have some people that still don't want to dine in, and they're in our drive-through a couple times a week. But we built a pretty big outdoor dining space, and people are coming back. A couple days, we actually hit 100% of sales pre-COVID. So we're just, maybe 15% down since we did this. So for me, that's a huge win. And I can kind of doggy paddle with that into hopefully next year. I don't know what the winter holds for us, but everybody's back and people are happy to see us back. And I think that Karl could probably attest that the Valley is very loyal and they love their places, and that, other restaurateurs come in and they're like, God, the Valley's so horrible to open at. The Valley likes what it likes, and the people like what they like. And they will stick by you through thick and thin, and they've definitely stuck by our family and our restaurant. So, and I know they have the local peasant as well. So I think we're blessed that way. But again, it's hard to treat them when they come in.
I totally agree. I mean, there's just, people are so awesome. And like, even to the extent where they care about my servers and like everybody, the employees, they're coming in and they're asking me, oh, how's Denise? How's John doing? Are they okay? Do they need any money? I mean, it's so beautiful. And then they want to support us, and they just come and they would buy stuff from us just to support and leave a gigantic tip. Like the whole market, they just kept coming, and people even who lost their jobs, they're like, we only take out once a week, and we choose you because we don't want you to go away. So there's definitely a loyal base, and it's true. Some people don't like other businesses that come in like, oh, the Valley's not great, and I'm like, no, it's awesome. When something about it, when you give to them and they find the thing that they love, they really don't want you to go away. And so it's really beautiful seeing that. And then when we did the in dining, there are some people who are still afraid to go out. There's no doubt about it. But then I do have some of the regulars coming back. But the interesting thing is I'm seeing like a lot of new faces, people I haven't even seen before. And I got to start, I'm just so busy running around, but I'm really interested in how these people came to my restaurant. Where do you live? How did you get here? How did you find me? So there is definitely some new business. And hopefully if we can get back to full capacity at some point, I feel like my business is going to be even stronger.
That's great. That's excellent. What are your thoughts on delivery services like Uber Eats, Grubhub, Postmates? I know they're fairly costly. Is the cost worth it? Carl, you want to?
We don't do them. I've had a strong stance against them for years. To me, they take about 30% of the profit, and that's our profit. So I don't even play their game. And we didn't love food to go before. Casa Vega is kind of an antiquated business, so it wasn't anything. They still come in, Postmates. I don't know how they order, but they do. But we never signed up with them. But I will tell you, after we shuttered and I closed the big restaurant, and then there was a pause before I reopened the drive-through, I had a lot of pressure. I felt even from people I talked to at the city or even at the chamber. Well, are you guys going to do all the delivery apps? Are you kind of doing what you guys need to do to make sure that you're staying in business too, whether that means playing with these companies? And I called all of them. And they were all about 30%. Nobody had the tablet ready. Nobody could even do it, which was a blessing in disguise, because I thought, well, geez, I don't want to be here crying that we don't have enough business, but we're not trying all these different revenues. Luckily, they didn't come in. And we opened a drive-thru, and we didn't need them. And, and then by the time I looked at it more, some of them only go a 5-mile radius. To take them 30%, and it just... they're actually kind of pariahs on our business. I know that a lot of people, especially independents who have signed up for them, that they then send out to their customers, please don't order through them. Please order directly through us. So I think that they should have lowered all their delivery, their fees. If they wanted to help the business that they live off of, they should have dropped their fees tremendously during this time, and they didn't. And so I have no love for them.
Yeah, I totally understand, because I was battling the whole delivery app in the beginning because I thought my food didn't travel well, and I didn't want it to be represented when it got to their house 40 minutes later and the fish and chips was not crispy and it was, soggy, and French fries was soggy. And we fought it for a long time. And then one of my partners was like, well, I order to-go food and I just expect it to be a little bit like that because I know it's traveled that far and I just want something sometimes. So we did get into it a year before this happened. And our thought was, and they just really take advantage of you. They don't, once again, a restaurant's profit is so slim and they take double what your profit is. It's insane. But for me and my partners, we thought, like, at least if we get more sales from that, the only thing that's going to help us through that is labor, because we're not going to hire more people to take care of the delivery apps. So if I have more sales, it's going to help out with labor, which labor is your biggest challenge in a restaurant business. So we were doing it and it seemed to be okay. And then when this happened, obviously delivery apps went crazy. And I was actually happy to have it, because it's and this week in general, when there was an uptick on Thursday, when they announced this uptick in Los Angeles, some in dining people, well, it wasn't as much. And on Friday, I had like half of my business was to-go business, and I'll take the sales right now. And I believe there was a mandate that they lowered the amount that they would take, and they can't take over 15%, which is kind of right around where restaurants make their margin. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I hate it, but I like having the sales. I feel like it was a necessity, and it definitely helped me a little bit through the hard times when the market was going, and it made me stay in touch with people, and it kept my name out there. So in one sense, I'm thankful for it, and in the other sense, I'm kind of a little angry at them for taking advantage of it.
But it's also a platform where you can get your name on, and be discovered by people that normally wouldn't have found your business.
And that might be the reason I see some new faces that come in. It might be because the people who are ordering out so much, they probably got tired of their favorite places and like, oh, let me try something else. So I may find that out in the end. That's why they're in dining now. Some of these people that I don't recognize.
Yeah. What do you guys see in the near future for the restaurant business in regards to profits? You can't have large parties or events.
Well, that hurts me a lot because I have a private back room in both locations that was really just booming. It really helped me. I mean, any restaurant business that survives whatever amount of years you want to say, but the fact that we were 10 years in Sherman Oaks and 7 years in Woodland Hills and still having a good business is amazing. And we've had it would dip a little bit, but the events would really help us so much because I would always tell my staff that, when we had a party of 50 in the back room, I'm like, you guys got to be on your best, and you got to take care of these people because half of them probably have never been here before. This is our chance to bring business in for next year, because the holidays we would always have Christmas parties. So I was like, this is our chance to build our business for next year. So that's definitely going to hurt us. And plus, that's a better profit margin when you know how many people are coming into the restaurants and how many people you have to serve for that party. Your profit margin goes up. So for us, that element is really, really going to hurt us as we get deeper into this. And plus, you're only 50% right now, or 60%. And then I don't know when this is going to loosen up. My guess is, I mean, we're definitely in this for till next year and maybe longer. And like Christy said, who knows what's going to happen in the fall? And then in the fall, I have my outdoor dining. But what's going to happen when the rainy season comes? That's going to cut that extra tables that were very nice that they gave us those. But the weather is going to start affecting us at some point, and then hopefully not the virus. But I don't see it coming back for a long while.
Right.
Yeah, we were the same. We have a pretty busy just walk-in business, but we make so much money off events. People come and they'll book out. We just do minimum. So, for minimum price, they book out the whole back dining room, or they book out different sections in the restaurant. And we would have numerous birthday parties, bridal showers, reunions, memorials, graduation parties, everything you can think of, all week at Casa Vega. And it's a huge part of our business. And Casa Vega is a place where people go and celebrate. It's a festive environment, and it's always big groups. And that's killing us that we can't do that in a way, and it's also very frustrating to our customers. We can only sit 6 at a table. I have 4 kids. So even if I eat with my husband and my kids, my parents can't dine with us in our own restaurant, but nonetheless anywhere. So trying to explain that to Casa Vega loyalists, where normally we shove as many people as we can at a table, and someone's sitting at a corner and someone else is practically sitting on the other person, that those days are gone. And it's a hard adjustment, but it definitely does eat into your bottom line, because with those, we know, all right, already we have X amount of money for our Saturday night or Sunday night. And I know my sales are padded, and to not have that is tough. And then our catering business, we would also cater. So we did anything from a drop and go, that we'd come and, drop and set you up a taco bar, but we also did full service catering, where I'd send chefs and cooks and, bartenders, and we do events, and all that side business is gone too. So, all these kind of extra revenue streams that we had up and going aren't available. So it's again, I call it dog paddling till this is over.
I know.
I want to say that that we
Go ahead.
as much as we talk how hard it is, and challenging it is, and the profits are slim. I think we're blessed to have successful businesses, but I also want to, I'm very appreciative of how the officials work, because when I closed Woodland Hills and I opened Sherman Oaks, and I just tried to morph into whatever I could to try to survive and keep my 6 key employees employed, so then I could come back quicker, not have to train a whole new, it would be like opening a whole new restaurant if I lost my chefs and a couple of my managers. But I really am appreciative that the officials, they worked really quick to let me open as a market, let me serve to-go cocktails, and let us do the alfresco dining like that. Those things are that they got on it really quick, and I'm very appreciative, because that really meant a lot for me, and I know for you. So I'm really thankful for that. And I said to somebody else too, I realized how important it is to really vote your local officials, and how important they are, and how I learned that. I should have paid more attention in school to how the whole political system works in democracy, because your local officials really mean something. They're the people who are right next to you, who can help you to get you to the top and get you things. And I'm really going to start paying attention to who I need to vote in locally, and research them, because they seem to be very important. And and then the whole battle between the feds saying, we're going to tell you to do this, and then the governor's saying, hey, you can't do that, that's unconstitutional. I was like, whoa, man. I back in school learning about how these things work, and I was fascinated by it. And it's amazing. This country is amazing in that sense, how there's these checks and balances. But I would encourage everybody to make sure you really research your local officials and vote for the person who you think really protects your community, because they're the ones who take it to the top and can make change.
Yeah, I mean, all our officials have been amazing. Normally, I would think the state of California and Los Angeles isn't the most business-friendly environment, and certainly not political environment, but they have come full force with this. I mean, the ABC approval was, I had my liquor license for outdoor dining in 4 days, and the alfresco permits were instant. So they really hopped to it and supported their businesses, and they continue to do so. So I'm really happy about that.
Steve, welcome to the chat.
Hi guys, there was a lot of problems getting in, so I beg your pardon, I didn't want to interrupt.
No problem. We'll just let you quickly introduce yourself so everyone knows who you are.
Yeah, I don't want to take too much time, but I work for a full-service accounting company that takes care of. We specialize in the restaurant industry. We take care of accounts payable, payroll, and we have an advisory service, and that's what I do. So I'm the senior advisor with Vine Solutions. We're based in California, but we have clients all over the country. I'm an industry veteran, been in the industry for 25 years before I came to Vine 5 years ago. So I appreciate what you guys are going through, Christy and Karl. Just coming on here, seeing your passion, Karl. I couldn't agree more with what you're saying. Obviously, by birth I'm British, by choice I'm American. I've been here through recessions. I've been here through different political parties, etc. But it just seems that I think something that everybody's got to remember in the restaurant industry. Again, I've been here for 20, over 25 years in the restaurant industry now, or associated industry, and I wouldn't say we've ever had anything like this quite before, but you imagine over the lifetime of our lifetimes what we've gone through in the restaurant industry. I've worked all over the United States, Europe, and obviously England, and we always fight back. This industry is not going anywhere. It's been, it's going to be a struggle, but if we are passionate about the business enough, we are not frightened to think outside of the box. And if you say, Karl, we use all of the resources that we possibly can that are around us, and if we ask for help, then hopefully we'll make it through. There's I think we've got rough times ahead still, but we've gone through a lot in this industry, and this is just one more curve.
You know, the part of the challenge with the restaurant business is where like most restaurants, you're so busy taking care of the restaurant that it's hard to get involved politically, or to really like try to convince somebody to make change. That's really the thing. Like you can say the National Restaurant Association, but that's so fractioned off. Like it's so hard because really you use all your time trying to make sure your profit doesn't go away, that it's hard to get out there and get in touch with these politicians to explain the challenges that you have. Because I know, California is one of the only 6 states that doesn't have a tip credit. And, everybody wants a fair wage for the back of the house. I want to pay my guys more money. I want that for them. I want them to, because then they stay with me and they're loyal to me. But it's so challenging. Payroll is your biggest challenge. I'm sure Steve can break numbers down that will blow your mind. But it's like if we had a tip credit, where we could pay the people who are tipped, because some of them make very good money, like not great, but they know what the business is in. It's a transient kind of business in the front of the house. Nobody's taking it necessarily as a career. Some people do, but if we just had that, we could say you paid them $10 an hour and you had the extra $5 that they would make up in tips, and you could take that $5 an hour and pay your kitchen $25 an hour. I mean, this would change the restaurant business in Los Angeles. Restaurants would survive. I can tell you, I wonder, Steve, the challenges of having a new business. I opened up 10 years ago. I can't imagine what it takes to open up a restaurant now. And if you don't have any knowledge of how to operate a restaurant, I don't even know how you can make it. Steve, tell me, Steve, I mean, I'm sure you have new clients, and what do you tell them?
Yeah, I just opened one, funnily enough, in Agora Hills. One of my clients that currently already has 3 other restaurants. She very courageously opened her 4th, and soon to be her 5th will be in Sherman Oaks, ironically. But she just opened in Agora Hills. But the key to her is she is somebody again that throws the mud, see what sticks. She's not frightened of innovation. She's not frightened of short-term pain for long-term gain. So she took the success that she's had throughout the closures. She actually has stayed open this whole time. She started with quite a large delivery business. She secured that 4 years ago through my advice, and then has developed that ever since. She's now doing 70 to 80% of what she did prior to COVID just through delivery and takeout. So she felt secure to open that other business, and it's opened as profitably as all of the others at the same time. Okay, so bottom line is not positive yet, as we know. But
what I live in Agora Hills. What's the restaurant?
Sage Vegan Bistro.
What is it?
Sage. It's just opened in the mall there.
Oh, okay, great. I will support.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a vegan restaurant. She's doing gangbusters. So
awesome.
It is profitability at the moment. I know it. It's something that all of my clients are worried about. The biggest thing is that to get creative with the cost of goods sold is the first thing you can get very creative. I'm always aghast at chefs. I'm not a chef by trade. How when they're put under pressure, they can still keep that food cost. They can, I think front of house we're often struggling with a beverage cost, but the back of house they can really come up with suppliers, come up with some great food costs. As you said, Karl, the labor cost is the trick moving forward, and the only advice I would give there is you really have to look at your business model and not be afraid to adjust the business model. I'm not talking about culture. I'm not talking about changing who you are and the reason why you've been successful, and the core of what your business is. I'm talking about how you operate your business and what the elements are that you use to be successful. And one big resistance, the biggest resistance I have of all my clients is that they have this business model. It's worked for them in the past. And they are very, very resistant to changing the business model. You just can't do that in this climate. It is a very different climate. It is going to be a very different climate, in my opinion, for the next couple of years. I don't think we're going to see whatever happens. I don't think see what we can't operate whereas we can. So that does mean that if you had runners at one stage, perhaps you get rid of that whole department now. It does mean that perhaps, you know, you have a manager rather than the host, whatever it's going to take. But you have to, right now, if you haven't stayed open with delivery and you are thinking of opening now, it is a new business that you are opening. And if you think of it as a new business, using all of the experience you have, but changing all the things out that you know you got wrong the first time round, then that is the way I would look at it. And I would start by looking at your business model and not being afraid to change it.
I feel like I've opened a new restaurant 4 times over in the last 4 months, just morphing into different things: a liquor store, a produce store, a delivery to go app store, and now outside dining. And I actually my Woodland Hills was a large space, so we were fine there with continuing the service model there. But in Sherman Oaks, because it's so small, I've changed to kind of a modified kind of service where when you come in the front door, you put your order in, and then we assign you a table and we take over the service from there, because I need to save labor. Because I'm working all the numbers. This week will probably be the truest number if it's really working or not. But it was like opening a new restaurant, training my employees to like do this, and it was really hectic in the beginning. We're starting to get a flow to it right now. But I have to save on labor because I don't have a full restaurant right now. I don't have events and parties.
Speaking of not having the events and parties, have you guys thought of increasing your pricing?
That won't happen at Casa Vega. Right now, I think that people don't have a lot of money. I think we just need to get them in the tables. You know, we have some increased costs, but like I said, I mean, with this outdoor dining, we had a few days we hit 100% pre-COVID sales. So we have 3 more tables than we were able to before. And I just don't feel that it's the right time. Nobody has money right now. And I think that we would be in a fishbowl to think that it was just restaurants that are hurting. 90% of my business clients are entertainment. They're from the grips to the caterers to the top directors and actors, and everybody's hurting. So I don't think raising prices is the answer. I think it's kind of adapting, like you said, changing your business model a bit to meet the times. And so for us, that means opening up outside and providing like an overly social distance environment where we keep our prices the same. And we just try and make sure that the tables are full and they're done so safely. I also had hesitant, Casa Vega is so old, we don't have a lot of liberties that maybe new restaurants do, that you can open up with service charges and that you can open up with modified service. Our shtick is old school service, and that when people come to Casa Vega, it's been here since 1956. They don't want someone coming up with a tablet. They don't want, I would love to have them go to the bar. They're not going to like it. I mean, we've had customers who've been coming here for over 60 years. And so we have to, it's this fine line of Casa Vega of making sure that the customers still feel that it's Casa Vega. We're not a new Mexican restaurant that just opened down the street that's, and we are Casa Vega, and we have to make sure that our customers feel that way. So I feel that we're kind of held to the line a little harder than other businesses are on that regard.
I right in the beginning of this, I actually lowered my prices a lot because I felt like this was challenging times for everybody, and I wanted to cater to the community. And so I think I did myself a little bit of injustice. I wish I would have kept the prices the same, because everybody seemed to have money. They would come in and when I had the liquor store, they were buying $100 bottles of, sales were okay. And I lowered my price. I wish I would have kept them the same price and then lowered them as things get tougher. So now I feel like I should have done it the other way around. But right now my prices are still lower than, pre-COVID. So I do believe in that. And I'm a crazy doomsday guy. I already had like a recession menu that I was writing out before this even happened, because I do want to take care of the people, because I know in turn when things get better, they're going to come and take care of me. I feel like the Valley gives that to you, that when you have that relationship with the the valley.
They definitely do. And when we did the drive-through, I dropped prices 30%. And I just thought, you know, we're not under the gun with rent and other things, and that I just need to do this for my community. But when we opened full dine-in, the prices went back to normal, because now we only have a few little bit of the PPP money, and we have to start putting it away in our bank account to make sure that we survive through this time. And, you know, again, we have a lot of extra expenditures as far as building the outdoor dining and all the PPP gear, and, you know, making sure that everything is compliant. So we went back up to normal, but we will not elevate above that.
Just a couple.
We only have a few. Oh, go ahead, Steve.
Christy, I couldn't agree with you more. You know, the death of any restaurant is because they've forgotten who they are. So, you know, it doesn't matter what your, when I talk about business model, I'm not talking about culture. You know, you are who you are. And the second you forget that, that's your business. And just on the pricing, we've got to remember that people don't necessarily look at price. They're looking at value. The consumer looks at value. So, you know, they go into Casa Vega and they see, you know, for the experience that they're looking for and that they love, put a value on it. If you go too far above, if the price is too far above that perceived value, then you will lose them. But also, we also have to be careful, and now is not necessarily the time to do it. So Karl, I wouldn't have necessarily dropped prices very much, because I don't think that also will get you necessarily more people through the door, in my experience.
Right.
But one thing you do have to watch is that you undervalue yourselves, meaning that I've seen on many occasions where people have not, where owners have not looked at competition, and they are far below, pricing themselves far below the competition. And when they have added strategically 50 cents or $1 to many items on the menu, or as they're bringing a new item in, it's a higher priced item, there has been absolutely no change in demand whatsoever. So that's probably not a conversation for today. That's a conversation for the future. But it's all to do with value. It's not price. It's perceived value.
Yeah.
Good point. We are at the end. Yeah, we're just going to go one round for final thoughts, and then we're actually end of the session. Go ahead, Christy.
Well, that's perfect. So my final thought was, at least for, you know, anybody else that's out there in this business and in hospitality, my whole take on this crisis is to try and make it as palatable and as uplifting for the community and my staff and my business as we can. And so at Casa Vega, we took kind of a really sad, unfortunate time, and I feel like I kind of threw a party, a very social distanced, under control party, but I put up tents and I made it beautiful, and I put up lighting and plants and tables and chairs, and I used the money that we made off the drive-through, a bit of it, and I rolled the dice, and I said, you know, I'm not going to bring people into a lesser experience where it feels sad and it's weird and the restaurant's half full. I want it to be different, in a place where people can come and enjoy and have a margarita and be like, oh my God, we're still here and everything's okay. And to be able to kind of leave maybe some of their stress and their worries at the door, and get back to what hospitality is all about. And it's feeling good where you go. And since we've done it, we've had tons of repeat people in the next day, saying it just feels so good not to be depressed. So that's kind of my opinion, or my advice to everyone is make it fun, play some fun music, do a specialty cocktail, put some plants in there where the dead space is. You know, just don't roll over and be sad.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that that's totally true. You know, things, as much as the server's coming up to you with a mask and a shield, and things are different, but it's really about how you handle that situation. Because the people that came back to work with me, some of them have been with me from the very beginning, and it's about their relationship with the customer and how they handle that person. It's like, when you have the mask on and if you don't act weird, then they don't act weird. So it's really about treating them treating them the same way you would as if things were normal, because that just makes them feel comfortable where they are, and not just like, yeah, it's the same thing. And we do that with our hearts and our soul that we give into the hospitality. Not we don't feel weird about it because we don't want you to feel weird about it. So, and yeah, adjusting and trying to give people some sense of things are back to normal ish, you know.
Right. Exactly. Steve, any final advice, words?
No, I would agree that, you know, the clients that I have that have taken, you know, Karl and Christy's approach, they're the ones right now that are being very, very successful. I did a 70th birthday, friend's 70th birthday down in Orange County over the weekend, and I went down. And it was buzzing in there, and it was absolutely buzzing. The regular servers were there, and they were doing their thing. And as you said, Christy, people, they're sick and tired of being miserable. And you know, if you can give them a little bit of reprise from that, and they'll take it. And each of, you know, I have clients that it's all doom and gloom, and it shows straight onto their staff, and it shows straight onto their clients, and they don't understand why there's nobody coming through the door. I don't. I can stay at home and be miserable. So I couldn't agree more. This is a time to, you know, as I said, you know, things have hit us before. Christy, you're taking it. You know, there's a reason why you guys have been around for 70 years. It's because you keep doing the right thing, you know, and bravo. So keep doing it.
I agree. I agree. And we didn't get any questions in the chat box, but people are complimenting your businesses and saying what a big part of the community you guys are, and different promotions. I know that the local pest is having 4th of July grill kits. So it's really about being creative, and all the local people will help and keep supporting you guys. So thank you so much for being in this session. We could have gone way over time, I'm sure. But I'm going to stop the broadcasting, and which should kick us all back to the lobby. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.